chug some beers and make some bad gambling picks. Welcome to ChuggieBets.
You guys all watched the LSU Ole Miss game this weekend. An amazing game, super high scoring, right? A lot of things to break down from that game, but none of them were more important than Robert Griffin III's quote. I don't know if you guys saw this quote, but Jaden Daniels has been making it like kind of his thing that somehow he gets like jumps in the air and then people pick him up and then just like stop and hold him up instead of like tackling to the ground, probably because it's a personal foul or roughing the passer. FSU did it in the first game and everyone was like, ugh, but he's been picked up multiple times on his run. That's weird enough, right? But Robert Griffin had the oddest quote in regards to this. He said, and I quote, "In Mississippi, mind you, they lifted that man up to the sky like he was Jesus, letting him know they were going to put him on the cross right there."
I mean, Robert Griffin is a born-again Christian.
A man of faith. As there's a drive in a deep left field by Castellanos. So that'll make it a 4-0 ball game.
It's a 4-0 ball game. It was a 55-49 ball game. Danny, what are you saying about RG?
I was just going to say, Robert Griffin's a born-again Christian. I wanted to kind of lead it into Al's I'm a man of faith argument there, or a call there, but nothing makes me laugh harder than hearing Nick Castellanos has a drive to deep left field.
Man, that man, he's the Grim Reaper with a baseball bat. It's like anytime something bad happens, he's hitting a dinger. I think there was another incident where I think it was like a production guy on a broadcast died, and they were having a moment in memoriam. Of course, Castellanos was at the plate, and he had another home run, and they had to do the same thing, the sad home run call. But yeah, I think it's a situation where RG3 is just talking out of his ass, being stupid.
Yeah, don't go to any Phillies games, or they might end up having to eulogize you because Castellanos hits a fly to deep left center.
It's not quite the Tom Brenneman mix up there, but pretty brain dead thing to kind of throw out there.
Just a weird thing.
It's a national audience, not a Mississippi only audience, and actually it's probably more offensive to your Mississippi audience. I don't know.
I don't know how that comment plays in the South.
If you were at a barbecue with your men's church group, I could see that comment slapping, right?
Yeah, typically blasphemy not a big selling point in Mississippi.
But I just don't see that no, it's weird. It's just weird.
Yeah, it was really, really weird. That game went. He also had another quote during the game, and I still don't understand it. He's like, "This game is a win for all the Miss Americas here in Mississippi." I was like, I don't know. Is it just a pretty game? Are there a lot of pretty women in the crowd? Ole Miss is known for being very beautiful, right?
I'm starting to realize I should be on RG3's side here, because he is just doing what I always do, and that's trying to shoehorn a bunch of terrible jokes in the hopes that they all stick, or just because they pop in his head. So I support you, RG3.
He's just saying stuff. He literally just saw a guy lifting up with his arms out and was like, Jesus. I better say something.
He was in his head. He was like, "Hey, he looks like Jesus. I should do this in my radio voice." They crucified him on that spot.
That doesn't look like Mississippi's Jesus. I can guarantee you that.
No, real Jesus, probably.
Yeah, well, no. I mean, Matt was saying that LSU, that gold and blue, is definitely not what Mississippi's Jesus is wearing.
No, that's exactly what I meant. Right. Coats of purple.
White out.
So the Castellanos comment, I want to think about this for a second. Do you think that moment has been good for his career or bad for his career? Because I can debate both points.
I don't think
it's been good or bad.
You don't think so? It has to have some impact. People know Nick Castellanos, and they should know him. He's a really good ball player. But I feel like he's got to hate that.
I feel like people don't know baseball players, period.
Yeah.
But they do know who Mike Trout is, And
Castellanos was very consistent WAR throughout his career, between a half and 3. pretty much every season. So I'd say it doesn't have a whole lot of effect on his career.
No? Then I'm
It's
going
got to be a
to
net positive, though. There's got to be like the extremely online people who know him strictly from that clip and nothing else. So it's
He
probably
might have gotten like
he
some
might have
more
gotten
money.
a slight increase in jersey sales or something.
Yeah, like marketability.
And maybe like indirectly bonus money due to jersey sales or something.
Yeah.
because that comment like was a big part of the pandemic. It was like Tiger King, the Castellanos comment, and then the Jordan documentary. In that order were like very important media moments.
Hashtag sports business.
Sports business. Well, let's get
Darren
into business.
Rovell, if you're listening, let us know your thoughts. What was the financial impact?
You guys want to get down to business then? Speaking of sports business,
Let's get down to business.
The Hunt.
Al there. I got Sunshine down there. I got Danny below me, and we're gonna chug a beer. I say that for you all the time, Al.
I love it.
That comment.
Emphasizing the below.
Anything better than Cold Busch Light? I'll be damned.
Ooh, a cold Busch Light tall boy.
Fizzy goodness.
That is
Ooh.
true. So the boys have had another tough week, right? I'm not gonna lie. We were 5 game under 500 last week. The only bright spot being Andy 9-7 won his chuggy bet. I was right around 500. I lost the vig, and the other boys had a tougher week. We didn't have Sunshine here, who's been on an absolute heater, 19-8. Very important to know. But Al and Andy did win his chuggy bet, so I'm going to let Al have his chuggy bet. I'm going to give Sunshine Andy's chuggy bet because he's been in the lead so far. Is that fair?
I love that. That's fair.
Yeah, seems good.
But we're going to pick it up this week. We've got absolute heat to give you, absolute fire to give you.
Well,
But before we get into any of the heat or fire, Danny, would you like $1.1 million? Do you like $1.1 million? If someone would give you,
I'm a fan. I'm a fan.
Sunshine, would you like $1.1 million?
I would love $1.1 million.
How about if I gave you $1.1 million and then you got to embarrass me publicly in like grandiose fashion? Would you like that? I'm not saying you would or you wouldn't, but it wouldn't hurt you.
How good is the podcast doing? Hell yeah, I want to do this.
It's a YouTube only clip, but you have to be a subscriber to see me get embarrassed for $1.1 million. Go there now and subscribe. No. So Georgia Tech invites little old Bowling Green to come on down to the Hyundai Center or whatever it's called. Is that right, Sunshine?
It's not called that. It's like Hyundai Field at Bobby Dodd.
Yeah. So
Bobby Dodd buy you a Hyundai today. What does it take to get Bobby Dodd to put you in a Hyundai today field?
It does sound like that. And then proceed to lose to Bowling Green by 11 points. I know that Georgia Tech is having a tough year. Understood. We've talked about it on previous podcasts. We didn't expect much from Georgia Tech. But goddamn, you can't lose by 2 scores to Bowling Green. Anyone have any thoughts, or am I just on an island here?
Are we talking about Bowling Green that's in Ohio or Kentucky?
Kentucky.
Yes. Oh. I think it's probably one and the same. Like, Kansas City or
I feel like it's less embarrassing to lose to the Bowling Green that's in Kentucky, just because fuck Ohio.
Oh yeah, that's a tough one. It's no Middle Tennessee State, but
Bowling Green State is in Ohio though.
I mean, like, how much did we pay Jacksonville State?
Oh, bad. It was also a bad loss. Middle Tennessee is another good example. They happen, right? But we are not in the position where we're athletically strapped for cash and to pay $1.1 million. Like, there's a reason Georgia Tech changed the field to Hyundai Field from Bobby Dodd or whatever it was originally called. It's because they needed the money. And if you're spending that money, you need the wins, right?
Oh my gosh. I saw this in a Georgia Tech game, first of the season, but underdog Bowling Green scored 38 unanswered points.
So they were down 27-0.
Yeah.
And stormed back.
Wow.
Well, that happened to another UCF also. That was
What a
awful to watch.
heartbreaking home opener in conference.
To close the loop on Bowling Green, Kentucky, that's Western Kentucky University, that college.
Good college. Hilltoppers, the big red blob.
Yeah, I love that red blob.
Oh, what's the name of the quarterback that we're all rooting for?
Zappy.
Yeah, Zappy. All right.
Bailey Zappy.
Oh, man, UCF's collapse. That was epic. That was just, it's impossible to collapse that hard.
It was a weird
I
week.
mean, what were they? They were down, 28-3?
35-7?
Oh, sorry. I was thinking of the Falcons. Sorry.
That was
He's not
mean.
paying attention.
Dude, why,
I know.
Sunshine, why would you do that to your
I don't
boy?
know why. I don't know.
Oh man, did y'all make a Falcons joke? Another
Yeah.
one?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I feel like I don't hear it every day. I'm trying to figure out if Bowling Green, Kentucky, or Ohio.
Yeah, they are.
It's the same, one and the same,
one and
just
the
different
same?
sides of the river or
Yeah.
border.
I think it's a Kansas City situation, like Al suggested. Yeah, a lot of weird games this week, especially from the higher ranked teams. A lot of dull performances. Georgia played a little too tight at Auburn. Now, granted, statistically, they were kicking the shit out of Auburn, but doesn't matter. The end result is the only thing that matters. Gets out with 7. USC.
Not the same Bowling Green.
No,
Sorry
two
to
different
interrupt.
Bowling Greens.
Two different
No.
Bowling Greens. Two
I'm
different
glad we
cities.
got to the
Yeah.
bottom of the
So-
Bowling Green controversy.
Is it actually though?
Yes. Western Kentucky is like south of Indiana. Ohio's like north. Oh man, this is
Because I always thought there were 2 Kansas Cities, but it's just one Kansas City. that
One
borders
big
it.
ass.
There
Kansas
are
City.
actually there are 2 different cities. They just have a river between them.
In Kansas City. You're talking about, or you're talking about Bowling Green.
Kansas City, there's a river between the 2 states, and there's a city on either side of the river.
And so Bowling Green doesn't. There are 2 cities, and they do not share a border.
There's
Is
like
that
an
what you're telling
entire
me?
state between the 2.
Yeah, it's ridiculously far apart. Like
Interesting.
that.
Are
Next
they?
thing you know, you're gonna tell me there's more than one Jacksonville.
What?
Um,
Oh,
Yeah.
right. So
There's
back
one
to
in
the
Alabama.
There's
So-
Jacksonville in like every state.
Auburn played it close. USC jumped out to a giant lead, 28 early, and they held on at the end. And poor Gus Johnson, I felt so bad for him because he was like, "Oh, great, USC scores a touchdown," but Shador Sanders would complete a 7-yard pass. He's like, "That's why he's the greatest," and like just losing his mind. I'm like, how biased can you be there? But I hope he's doing okay after that loss of his favorite team, Colorado. It's very tough to be a
Yeah.
broadcaster. and
Wait,
watch
let's
it.
go back to this
Hold on,
Bowling
Gus
Green
likes
thing.
every-
No, I'm kidding.
Gus likes every underdog though. That's kind of his thing. So
I know. It's getting shameless though, right? Like Marshawn Lloyd, the running back for USC, made a remarkable run in the first half. And he didn't give it the Gus Johnson pizzazz. Went one way, back the other way, came back around and scored a 40-yard touchdown. Awesome, right? Reggie Bush stuff. And it was just like a day at the office.
It's
He
like
didn't give
what's the old White Sox announcer's name? Like Hawk Harrelson or Hawk Harrell or something?
sure.
Where there's like clips of him, like he's like a super homer for the White Sox. The White Sox will like get a base hit and he'll lose his shit, and like they'll play the Indians and the Indians will hit it, or the Guardians will hit a home run, and it'll just be like silent, like he won't even like call the home run trot.
it
Just hear
sounds like
screaming.
when Bob Uecker is like passes out drunk and his assistant has to call the line.
Yeah.
Because it's like a screaming line drive up the middle and the guy makes a diving catch and he just goes hit.
Yeah, exactly. That's
Yeah.
Gus Johnson in Colorado games.
Washington played a hairy game against Arizona, had to pull that one out. A lot of those top teams, Texas handled business, Michigan handled business, but there were a lot of teams that were, most of the teams, the top ranked teams were also on the road. So it was a weird week as far as those games are concerned, but it was fun. You can feel the upset is coming. The upset is brewing somewhere along these lines in the next couple of weeks. And maybe
Could it be this week?
Could it be?
I hope
Let's
not.
get into the picks. What do you
Hope
say?
not. We're favored.
Do it. Not us. There's 24
No.
other opportunities. One of them.
Yeah, those guys.
So, guys, we're getting close. We're getting close to football. After Tuesday of this week, October 3rd, there will be 54 straight days of football, I believe.
That's
and it starts.
fantastic.
There's one day in the next 54 days there isn't a football game on. So hold on to your horse.
Yeah, we got Wednesday football this week, so it must be a random Tuesday where there's not going to be a game on, huh?
Yeah,
No,
there's got to
Tuesday
be.
Maction. Tuesday Maction starts next week, right?
I'm hoping so. But before then, we got some CUSA, some Conference USA. On Wednesday, Jacksonville State's going into Middle Tennessee State. Jacksonville State is a 4-point dog. That is too many points. Jacksonville State can go outright and win this game. I am taking the points for Jacksonville State +4. Andy is also joining on the Jacksonville State +4. On Wednesday, more Conference USA. We got FIU and New Mexico State. We got nothing on that. Don't watch it. Just do something else. Hang out with your kids. Do something nice for your wife. Sam Houston State at Liberty on
Watch baseball
Thursday.
playoffs.
Oh, hell yeah. Baseball playoffs are far more important. Sam Houston State at Liberty Thursday at 7 p.m. So I don't really love laying a lot of points with Liberty. Sam Houston State is so bad. They are terrible. Do not watch it. Lay the 18 with Liberty. I know it feels like a lot. They're a lot better than Sam Houston State. That offense stinks. Lay the points, 18 of them. We're going to Friday night at 7:30. We got Kansas State at Oklahoma State. Al, what do you like here?
Yeah, I'm taking Oklahoma State +12.5. I think that's moved now. Andy has it at +11.5. Of course, he's tailing me here. It's Stillwater's a tough place to play. Oklahoma State hasn't been like fantastic this year. I think they just kind of had a slow start. Kansas State, on the other hand, kind of a hot start, sort of dropped off lately. So I just think it's too many points on the road for Kansas State to cover.
Yep, I like it. Let's go to Friday night. We got Nebraska going into Illinois. Man, has there been a team? I feel bad for Andy, our co-host here. Illinois looks bad. They look.
That's probably why he skipped the pod today.
He's too depressed. He's too
I
depressed.
wasn't going to tell you guys, but he actually told me that.
I believe it. I believe you. I'm sorry.
It's actually upsetting a little bit disconcerting to me that he didn't tail me on this. Nebraska and Illinois, those are two teams that aren't particularly good at scoring, and Illinois is particularly good at not allowing teams to score. So ipso facto, add that all up, under 44.5. So I'm taking the under in that one. Feels stinky, feels stupid, feels like there shouldn't not be half as many points scored. So taking the under.
Yeah, I don't really know what to do with this game as far. I kind of want to take the points with Nebraska, but I feel bad doing that. So, but we have a fantastic noon slate. Al, do you have any music for us, or should we just go straight into it?
Let's just go straight into it.
So, Dan, here is a moment.
Like basically college football this Saturday is too good to waste any time mowing your lawn during games. So you just got to skip Premier League this morning. So you got to get out there early. As soon as the sun rises, like whatever your time is that you're allowed to start mowing your lawn without bothering your neighbors, get out there and do it.
Rise and grind.
8 a.m. Rise and grind. Crack an early beer if you have to. I know I will. Yeah, crack an early beer. Get out there. You don't have to do a great job mowing the lawn this week. You just have to get it done. Skip the edging if you want to this week and do that next week. But get out there early, get the lawn done, get back in, watch some soccer, get into that noon slate because there's a lot of good games this week.
You don't have to do a good job. You just have to get it done. Danny,
give it the old college
try. Dirty to me, baby. I love that. That's my mantra, baby.
Danny, what's the earliest you can mow your lawn for your neighbor's sake?
I feel like if I start after 8 a.m., I'm okay.
Yeah, I think the actual city ordinance here is 8 a.m. I think it's 8 to 8.
8 a.m.'s fair. There's probably some monsters out there at 6:45. You are the worst person on earth.
No, nobody's doing it at 6:45. Nobody's doing it at 6:45. But I've definitely heard some weed whackers going at 7:30, and I think that's just a little early.
Yeah, some of us like to sleep in. All right, I don't need your shit.
7:30. If you want to get an early start, you got something important you got to do, and you got to do the edging and all that shit that day. Do weeds and trimming and all that. you can push it to 7:30, but you do not start anything that makes noise before 7:30,
Yeah.
Agreed.
regardless of what any city ordinance says.
Yeah.
That's just
That's just good business.
good
That's just
protocol.
being a good human. But the noon slate, to Danny's point, kicks ass this week. Let's start in the Big Ten. You got the 5-0 Maryland Terrapins going into the 5-0 Ohio State Buckeyes. We got some controversy. We got a fight on our hands. I'm going to let Al go first.
Put them up. Put them up. I'm laying 18.5 with Ohio State. I think the Buckeyes have things figured out mostly at this point. I think Maryland's frauds, and that's it. This game's in Ohio State, in Columbus. Come on, they're gonna cruise by 3 scores.
So I'm taking 19.5 points in Maryland, and it's just kind of based on the feeling. It gives me something to cheer for during this game. Also, I'll cheer against Ohio State in a game.
Sure.
Yeah, that's honestly the best logic here is rooting against Ohio State.
Like when I was looking at it earlier, I was like, "Holy shit, Maryland's 5-0. Maybe there's more to them than we think." And Ohio State, I don't think they'll lose by any means, but every team is due to choke at some point, right? So maybe they only win by 17 points.
That's fair. I kind of like the Maryland side here. Danny, I'm sorry.
I'm on the Maryland side as well. Basically, CJ Stroud's not at Ohio State anymore. They're not going to be blowing out good teams by 3 touchdowns. Their quarterback, Kyle McCord, is fine, but he just doesn't have the athletic ability to go with the passing that the former quarterbacks that they've been putting out have. Tunga is fantastic. He's been putting up some numbers this year, and Maryland is just seems to have put it all together on offense. So I think that they will put up points on Ohio State's very, very, very good defense. But I think they will put up some points and keep this game close enough that I'm going to take those 19.5.
Let me ask you, which one of these is Maryland's signature win? Towson, Charlotte, Virginia, Michigan State, or Indiana?
Michigan State, I guess.
Let's ask this from a different perspective. Al, how many points have they won all those games by?
Yeah, a fair amount.
They're kicking the shit out of people.
They're averaging about 40 points.
I have another question. How did Danny fading Al work out last week?
Not particularly.
Because the fact that Danny got this 19.5 makes me question my decision.
But it makes me love our next game. We're going to Missouri. We got LSU coming into town. LSU off a bad loss. Is this a bounce back spot, or is Missouri really good at 5-0? Al, you want to start us off?
Yeah, Danny and I are laying the 6.5 with LSU. I think it's just in a normal situation, I think if they would have beaten Ole Miss, I think I would have liked Missouri here, but I don't think LSU is going to lose to Ole Miss and follow that up with a loss to Missouri. I think they'll get right, and I think they'll cover the 6.5.
My reasoning is really simple here. Missouri is the worst 5-0 team in college football, and it's not even close. They you were talking about how Maryland hadn't beaten anybody. Missouri beat Vanderbilt, Memphis, is that Kent State or Kansas State?
Kansas State.
Okay, so that's a decent. That's a good win. And Middle Tennessee and South Dakota, but they're winning all these games by 3 points, and
they're like last year's Vikings.
Yeah. Or this year's Marlins. best in the league in 1-run games. Not that I'm into baseball right now or anything, even though I wasn't all year.
That's a different metric in baseball. That's a sign that you're competent as opposed to lucky.
Yeah, well, anyway, Missouri has been lucky, and LSU had that. I mean, they showed up for the first 2.5 quarters against Florida State, and then it just all fell off the wheels for them, especially on defense. Then they played 3 really good games, right? They played nothing a high school and put up 70 points, basically taking out that FSU loss on them. Then they went up in Mississippi State and took care of business. with 40 points or something in that game.
Mhm.
And then they played another good game after that. I don't remember what it was, but then
Arkansas.
last week they had a tough loss. They were playing Mississippi, and it was a high scoring game that they didn't come out on top. I feel like this is a good team that has had 2 bad losses. They're looking at 3-2 playing a 5-0 Missouri team, and for some reason they're only a 1 touchdown favorite when it should be like 3 touchdowns because they're one of the better teams, and Missouri is like they're a bad 5-0 team.
They
If
beat
they were in the
Kansas,
ACC right now, they'd be 500.
they beat Kansas State.
Yeah.
Kansas State is ranked 15th.
It's a good
I
game.
think you're forgetting that, like, even if they are they're still an SEC school, right? And maybe
Kind of.
Listen. You can't call Kansas State good. They're about to lose to Oklahoma State.
Oh,
hey, I'm just talking about that.
You're disrespecting a future Army soldier.
Yeah.
You know, that's where I'm going with that. There. No, you're good. I mean, Kansas State is pretty good. I think that was the game where Missouri's kicker hit like a 62-yard field goal to win it.
So
Yeah.
I mean,
Impressive.
I think we're so used to the SEC West being the dominant badass school, or all the schools in this, and like maybe there's a little bit more balance these days in the SEC East and West. So I think that,
or maybe Kansas State's signature win is UCF, and they're not actually that good this year either.
okay. I'm going to put it this way, Chris. Let me step up. One thing LSU does really shittily is stop the pass. One thing Missouri does really well is throw the ball. Everyone's going to learn the name Luther Burden. If you don't know Luther Burden yet, you're going to learn this weekend when he goes for 175 yards.
Is that the Reading Rainbow guy?
That's him. But Luther Burden kicks ass as a freshman. He's been ridiculously awesome. I love this game. I don't know if they'll win, but I love them to cover. I think this is going to be like a 4-point game down the stretch.
Couldn't disagree with you.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. I'm glad you're on that side. I'll take sunshine. Let's go to the Texas State Fair, where we got the big game. You got Oklahoma and Texas playing at 11 a.m. Everyone's going to be drunk on fried Oreos. We're all kind of in the same boat here. Al, I'll let you start off.
Yeah, I love the unity here. We're a unified group here. I'm on Oklahoma plus 6.5. I don't think they should be dogs in this game. I also am on the under 60. I think these offensives are a lot closer than common fan probably thinks. I think Oklahoma has a devastating defense. I think they've got a much better defense here. So give me Oklahoma and the points, and give me the under. I think Oklahoma can grind this one out.
I'm in agreement with you. It's weird. This is the first time in history I can make this statement. Not enough people are talking about the Oklahoma Sooners. They're 5-0. They're really good. They're kicking the shit out of most people, but they're handling their business even against Cincinnati, even against SMU, who's a pretty good ball club also. I don't know why people aren't talking about them. They're playing much better defense now, and their offense is awesome. This is going to be a friggin' great game. This is a game. Glue your ass to the screen. Get done mowing the lawn. Then get yourself a couple cold beers and put on a diaper and glue your ass to the seat. Watch it. You can quad box it if you want, but this is probably a standalone game. You should probably get 2 TVs in the situation to watch this one. But I think this game will be close. Oklahoma, take the points.
Yeah, this one isn't a quad box. This is definitely a standalone game. You can have a quad box on a separate TV in the house and put the over the air. You want all the action happening right away on this one. I got the under though. I think this game's going to be dictated by both defenses, actually. I think Quinn Ewers is awesome. I think Texas's offense has been awesome, but I think that Quinn Ewers hasn't had a ton of pressure yet this year, or at least not the kind he's going to see against that Venables defensive line that's going to be coming at him.
Yeah, they're going to be good. Sonny, you got anything to add?
No. Not
okay.
All. Really good.
Can I interrupt the proceedings for a quick note? Luther Burden, the guy I was talking about, he is from St. Louis, Missouri, but he went to high school in East St. Louis, Illinois. Going back to the Bowling Green conversation, did you know there was a St. Louis that was in Illinois?
Not a clue.
Sorry, it just freaked me out. I was like, whoa.
You're like, oh, he's a hometown kid from Illinois.
No,
what
no,
the
he
fuck?
lived in St.
Yeah.
Louis, Missouri, but he went to St. Louis,
Gotcha.
Illinois for high school. Weird. Going back to the Bowling Green. I'm sorry, I had to get that out. Very important stuff. Let's stick in the Big Ten. Let's go to the Big Ten now. We got Rutgers going into the Dairy Raid in Wisconsin. Al, what you got here, buddy?
Yeah, I'm taking 2 touchdowns with Rutgers. Rutgers plus 14 at Wisconsin. I think Rutgers has been covering. I don't think they're particularly good, but I think they are good at making games ugly. I think Wisconsin's good enough at doing that on their own. So you put the two together, and I think this one stays within 2 touchdowns.
Sonny.
I think that Rutgers might be better than I thought they would be at the beginning of this year, and so for that, I'm taking plus 14.
So Rutgers had an over/under of 4.5 games this year. They were 4-0. So yes, they are better than people were thinking. I think
We've seen that. We've seen that happen a lot. We've seen that happen a lot. And then conference play starts. You end up 4-8.
That's
4-6.
true.
I've heard it's really hard to pick who's going to be bad in a conference.
Oh yeah. We'll update those stats next week. The standings are moving. It is an active game. Yeah, I like that. I think I could be wrong here, but I think Rutgers has covered every game this year. So you're in a fine spot unless you want to fade it. At noon, I got Boston College going into Army. Don't overthink it.
They drew against Michigan. They were
they
24.
drew?
There was plus 24, and it was 31 to 7.
But they haven't lost against the spread yet this year. Yep. It makes me feel better that they drew, actually. They are human. So they can go back to covering this week. Boston College going into Army.
Covering that 46 against Wagner last week. I was like, I mean, come on. You're Rutgers.
You should.
What are you doing scoring?
Well, you played a high
points
school, but like you're only supposed to win by 35 when you play a high school when you're Rutgers.
I agree. They're playing good ball. They're a pretty good team, dude. They're good.
Not. They're not good.
Rutgers.
It's the birthplace of football, Danny. Rutgers.
They blew out Virginia Tech though, which like everybody blows out Virginia Tech, but
not Pitt. Not last week. They didn't. Ooh,
No,
They blew out Northwestern, Temple. They lost to Michigan.
Yeah, that's gonna happen.
everybody's gonna lose to Michigan.
Really fucking
Everybody's
good.
gonna lose to Michigan, except for TCU.
Ohio State's gonna be the first team that plays Michigan that scores more than 7 points this year.
Yeah, probably. Boston College, Army. I'm gonna make this really quick. Both teams are not very good offensively. Under 51.5. You got over 50 points in a military game. I gotta take the under. That's all there. I will go to 2 p.m. Marshall at NC State. I hate this, but it feels like too many points. Marshall's been playing really well. NC State's been kind of up and down. They've been hanging around. They've got their good defense, but Brendan Armstrong has not been particularly good. I bet them a couple times, and I haven't won any of them. So this just could be a vengeance game, and NC State will probably kick the shit out of Marshall, but I think Marshall's pretty competitive. I'm going to take the 6.5 points.
I like it.
UTSA at Temple. Andy is on Temple plus 13.5. Godspeed. That team stinks. You could have any Warner. You could have Kurt Warner on that team, not his son. And I still don't like that Temple team. But take the 13.
I think I'd take him if Kurt Warner was playing.
Yeah, they'll probably be a little bit better.
If they were still getting the 13.5 and Kurt Warner was playing quarterback, yeah, I'd probably take him.
Kurt Warner now still?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, even now.
Instead of his son, I think it's EJ Warner or something like that.
Does he have as strong of a jawline? Does he have as strong of a jawline as Kurt?
I'm very unfamiliar, but I'm going to assume yes. You know what? Yes, he does. Yes, he does.
Does his significant other have a tighter
fade? Tighter fade? Yeah.
Tighter fade?
No, Kurt Warner's wife does have the tightest of fades.
I don't remember that, but I will look that up in a second.
They would show her in the stands constantly
yeah,
during the run of the Rams. It was awesome.
And we've got a couple more games here. We got some more action. Central Michigan at Buffalo. Andy is taking the points with Buffalo plus 3.5. It's probably a pretty good play there. That line is suspiciously odd. We will do one more. We got Washington State at UCLA. What are we thinking here, Al and Chris? Chris, start us.
Okay. I'm actually a little shocked that I was able to get points with Washington State. I really do think that they're gonna. I think they're the better football team.
I think
They
so
played
too.
better this season. They're undefeated. It's like, I don't know. They're playing in the Rose Bowl.
Yeah.
So what?
Yep. Wazoo is the better team here. They should be favored by at least this many. I got them plus 4.5. They're going to boat race UCLA.
It's a matter of Dante Moore, the quarterback for UCLA, has a ton of promise, and he could be really good. Cam Ward for Washington State is really fucking good. He's now like the 8th most popular pick for the Heisman because he's fucking good. I love this play. I didn't see this on my card earlier.
Yeah.
UCLA is going to be looking to break out after that Utah game, though.
Not too late.
I probably will do it in
It's
private.
not too late to add it.
And
and-
UCLA. I guess both teams are coming off a bye, but UCLA's coming off a bye, and like they had that Utah just slugfest. It was 14-7 2 weeks ago. I don't know. I feel like they're going to be coming off ready to like actually score some points.
So if you like Washington State here, you can follow Sunshine and I. If not, keep an eye out for Matt's private.
Yeah, keep your eyes out. You're going to need a
keep your eyes on
magnifying
Matt's
glass
privates.
probably to see it, but keep your eye out. That wraps up this podcast. Check out the next one. Please feel free to like, subscribe, do all that stuff we need. We got to pay bills. My kids are hungry, all right? But until next time,
Hungry.
good night, Ken.
Hi, guys.
Good night, Matt.
Night, Joey.
Hungry for them W's. Get you a W.